Hi! Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing 8 tips on how to balance full-time work while being in school full-time. Even if you're not taking classes and working at the same time, this video will help you out if you just have a lot on your workload and need some time management and productivity tips. First, a bit about my background. I had a full-time 40-hour per week job while doing 2 master's programs, one at Harvard Medical School and one at Harvard Graduate School of Education. I was also involved in extracurriculars and had a good social life, so hopefully I can share some helpful tips. Now let's go straight into my first tip. Maximize every spare minute. Even if you are busy, you will have some spare minutes throughout the day. You might be waiting for a bus at the bus stop, or you're just waiting in line at a grocery store to check out your items. These can be turned into micro study sessions. If you have a class where it requires a lot of memorization, you can download a flashcard app on your phone and go through those flashcards in these spare minutes. I used to go through flashcards when I'm taking the bus to memorize the chemical formula and the chemical name for my chemistry class. It's also super useful for language classes where you need to memorize vocabulary words, and just for really any class that requires some sort of memorization. And besides flashcards, I used to record myself and listen to myself when I'm taking the bus or walking to my next class. This was especially helpful when preparing for presentations and interviews. When I record and hear myself, it made me realize that I want to rephrase some things or pronounce some words more clearly. If there's a quick one-line email reply I can do using my phone, I also did that on my spare time. Tip number 2, color code your calendar. I use Google Calendar for meetings and personal appointments. I also use it as my to-do list and reminder. This avoids the hassle of having to go back and forth between different apps. I'm a visual person, so color coding my calendar really helped, and even though I'm no longer in school, I still do it to this day. For example, I use red for any urgent and important tasks, blue for social events, and green for doctor's appointments and health-related tasks. I personally don't use a physical calendar because I might forget to take it with me when I go out, and I find it easier to amend schedules when I use an online calendar. If your appointment changed from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., you would have to use a whiteout and rewrite your schedule if you're using a handwritten calendar, but you don't have to do that for an online calendar. But it might work for someone who takes online classes and works from home all the time, or just likes handwriting. Tip number 3, look at the syllabus and work deadlines. It's helpful to look at the syllabus not only after signing up for the class, but before. The grading breakdown is different for each class. In one class, you might be 100% graded just based on exams, whereas in one class, you might be graded on projects, participation, and essays. The syllabus will also list out major topics that are covered in that class, along with major deadlines and assignments. After signing up for a course, what I first did was plan out my semester. I logged all the major tests and assignment deadlines to my calendar and see where I have up and down times in the semester and try to figure out if it overlaps with any of the major work deadlines I have. There might be a week in the semester where you have 3 big exams in 1 week, which is a sign that you will have to break down into smaller chunks and schedule out when you will be studying for them. Tip number 4, done is better than perfect. I had so many essays, projects, and assignments due, but having this done is better than perfect mentality helped me get through and not burn out. Of course, trying to get things perfect is a good thing at times, but having a healthy expectation and boundary for yourself can really help you, especially when you have a lot on your plate. Perfectionism can sound like a great trait at first, and it is a great quality to have for a lot of jobs. But it can be a bit dangerous for your mental health. Pressure is good to a certain extent, but not to the point where you go too hard on yourself and trying to make every tiny bit perfect. I think this mindset kept me more stable mentally, not burn out, and be more realistic. Tip number 5, start early. I definitely had days when I wanted to procrastinate. But when you have a job and schoolwork, there really isn't much room for procrastination. So when I get an assignment, let's say on November 1st, and even if it's not due till the end of the month, I try to start right away so that I don't end up cramming. And when you're stuck, professors are more likely to help you when you reach out to them ahead of time versus when you reach out to them like the night before the assignment is due. And it gives you a bit of buffer if anything goes wrong. Your flash drive might be dead or the printer at your university might be down, and I've had these things happen to me before. But if you start early and finish your work early, you will have time to sort these things out. There were also few occasions when my professors thanked me for handing in my assignment early, because even though it takes a long time for students to write papers and hand in assignments, it also takes a lot of time for your professor to grade those essays and assignments. So they appreciated how they'll be able to work on grading eventually rather than being slammed with 40 papers all at once. Tip number 6, don't sacrifice sleep. I slept 7 to 8 hours, if not more, every single night. I'm someone who can't focus when I don't get enough sleep. When I get a good sleep, I always feel refreshed, and I think it also helps with my memory. There were days when I went to bed a bit later than other days, especially on the weekends. But I think going to bed around the same time every night helps you get better sleep. And I try to avoid drinks that have caffeine in the afternoon and night. Tip number 7, group projects. Communicate and be transparent from the start. I had quite a few group projects during grad school, and I know it can get really difficult to coordinate things with members of your group, especially when you have a full-time job. If you know that you are only available at certain times of the day or week because of your job, let your group members know from the start. Communicate clearly and be transparent. And try to come up with a plan early on who's going to do what by which date. This will avoid any hassle or stress later on. Tip number 8, speak to your managers and professors. Let them know about your situation, and meeting them one-on-one can be a great way to get to know them as well. This doesn't mean that you will get to do less work or anything, but my manager let me be a bit more flexible with my schedule and work hours as long as I get everything done when I told him about my situation. If you know you will be having a week with 3 exams, you might want to take some time off that week. Plan your time off and let your manager know so that they can plan for your absence and do approvals ahead of time. So these are all the tips I have for today. I know it's not easy to balance school and work at the same time, but it's doable. Most importantly, always remember to take care of yourself. Please like and subscribe if you found it helpful, and stay tuned for more future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!